Welcome back to the channel. Today's video we're going to be figuring out how accurate these Amazon carburetors are. So we got the Amazon knockoff 2150 carburetor. We want to figure out, is it too lean, is it too rich, where is it too lean, where is it too rich? So we're going to put an air fuel ratio gauge on and we're going to check it out. The air fuel ratio gauge is going to go on our headers, and I'm going to put it about 20 inches or so down from the actual exhaust ports of the motor. So I got a little bung made right here. I'll show you what I did there, but got a bung made. Gonna drill a 5/8 hole and get it welded in. So I got the sensor pulled out of the other truck, and this is M18 by 1.5 threads. The weld-in bungs are about 30 bucks online. I just took I believe it's 1/2 inch black pipe, just tapped it out. I had the tap, so I'm gonna finish getting the paint off of here, and then I will weld this on my exhaust fan. Under the truck with my plug-in 90-degree drill and a stepper bit, and I got myself a hole drilled. Now this is probably close to 30 inches away. You just want to be between, I don't know, maybe 18 inches and 36 inches according to the rules or the instruction manual. So what we're trying to do is space out this Bosch spacer, and in the instructions it says you got to be 18 inches or greater unless you have a turbocharger, high heat exhaust, or some sort of device that would make it hotter. It's supposed to be over 36. Now it also says don't put it behind any catalytic converters or anything that would affect the air quality. Now we don't have any of that, so I'm just choosing a point where the sensor can stay above 10 degrees, and that will keep water out of the system. So I'm gonna get this bung inserted and welded in. I ended up trimming this bung down a little bit, so make sure the threads are on the outside. Okay, we got the bung welded in there. It's a little ugly, but it's gonna seal just fine. So now we can get our O2 sensor inserted. Here we go. Got the bung all tightened in, and it comes out to the frame. Now there's no wires or anything in this frame rail on Bronco, so I just tied it in right here and then brought it around with the starter wire. Now the starter wire has not melted, has no signs of being too warm, so I think we're gonna be able to skate by with this header here being close. So as long as this part here can take the heat, so I'll keep this inspected over the next 100 miles or so, and I'll continue snaking it up, and it's going to be a nice clean install. So really like the way this is turning out. So got the wire ran up with the starter wire, got it punched through the firewall. You can see it there. I'll put a little bit of rubber grommet in here. Let's see it from the other side now. So through the glove box, you can see it a lot better. Now, I've said it in other videos, but I like to, whenever I'm tying into power, hot power, I always like to leave myself a little pigtail just in case I ever need it. So this is a 12-volt key switch right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this for my power, and then I'm just going to tap into this ground right there because that just goes onto the firewall. So gauge is wired in. You can see it back there. That's the ground. And then we tied in the positive. So right now it is on, and all that's left to do is start the truck up and see how it runs. So I'm going to get everything closed up, and then I'm going to go for a rip. So we want to get a control on this. So right now you're not going to be able to read this, but you can kind of read the dial part. So this is like 17 or so in here, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. So when it's straight up and down, that's probably about where we want it. But we're going to warm up the entire truck first. We're going to go for a drive. We're going to make sure that the O2 sensor is completely cleaned out before we even trust it or anything like that. And I'm having troubles with my DuraSpark, so the only real thing we need to do now is just get it warmed up and get it driving. Then we can start to look at it. All right, the truck has been warm for a bit now. We're idling around 17 or so. It's really maxing out the gauge. You can kind of read it on the camera, but 17, 16, 16, 17. So we can probably richen up our idle a little bit. So we'll screw those 2 screws out evenly. I think I got them set at 1 3/4 turns. We'll turn those out a little bit. We'll try to be around the 15 or so. But when I give it some throttle, it goes right where it needs to be, right in that 12, 13, 14 area. So I'm gonna go for a ride and we'll see what she reads. Medium acceleration, we're sitting right around 12, hitting 13s, but we're pretty low for the most part. All right, we're pulling off of our acceleration, sitting around 13. Cruising comfortably at 56 or 57. RPMs are right around 2200. We're hitting some 14s, but we're mostly in the 13 to 14 range. If I let off the gas, we're staying around that 14, 15 range. So I'm cruising about 55, and my transmission's not going to kick down here, but I'm going to really goose it and watch how much it leans out. It's sitting around 13 or so. Jumping into the 16s and 17s, so my wide open throttle I'm running really lean. So unfortunately the gauge doesn't read real well on the camera, but cruising 55 miles an hour, we're sitting at comfortable 13s and 14s. At idle we're around 17s to the point where it can't even read it on the gauge, so we can probably richen our idle up a bit, and wide open throttle we really drop off. We go to about 18, 17, 16, 15, but there's no 13s, there's no 12s. It really pegs the gauge out. So we're gonna have to look at what we need to do to get a higher wide open throttle. So we're out here, got the top off the carburetor, got the float out, got the gasket off, and now we are gonna pull out those jets. All I'm gonna do to measure them is put a drill bit in and then measure the thickness of the drill bit. So I'll get these pulled. So a lot of people online are saying that the Amazon carburetor jets do not fit into the normal Motocraft jets. So Motocraft 2150, this is the original carburetor off of the truck. As you can see, it's dirtier than sin. So let me see if I can get this jet to thread in here. They look like they're about the same, so maybe since reading that they have changed their thread pitch or something, but it's going in with just my finger, so I'm going to count that as a win. I'm going to put the 63s into the Chinese carburetor, and I'm going to put these in a drawer, but I'm still going to measure these, that way you guys have the information. So these, like I said, are 63s, 63F, that just means Ford Motocraft. These do not have markings on them. So to measure my jets, I'm just putting the butt end of this drill bit in. So that is it's a 45 jet. Okay, back over here at the carburetor, got the two 63s in, so I can get the float put back in, I can get the gasket put back on, I can get the cover put back on, then we can go for a test rip. Carb is all buttoned back up, and I also adjusted the two idle mixture screws, put them all the way in tight, and then backed them out 2 full turns. So hopefully that'll help richen up the idle. The idle was around 1 full turn on the right hand side and 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 on the left, and we're running a lean condition, so that should hopefully help. So hopefully this thing fires up and we can test drive it. Well, right off the bat, the thing is idling great. We're not having anything ramp up, we're not having it die. It's idling about 100 RPMs higher, so we're right around that 700, 750 range. Truck really actually just feels like it's breathing a lot better. So I'm gonna get all my tools picked up off the fender there, and let's go for a drive. I know it's hard to see, but it's right around the 12, 13 range at idle, so we got to be doing really good at our idle there. Now keep in mind, oh, that's so odd. Keep in mind the choke is on, so that's gonna richen it up quite a bit. So I really need this thing to get all the way up to temperature before I do any real measurements with this thing. Well, we have it way too rich now. It will not go any lower on this gauge, so, and I floor it. Still going lean, but this thing reeks of burnt fuel. So that's letting off the gas there. So we're gonna take it back and we're gonna have to finagle it. We're gonna have to meet somewhere in the middle. Or we're gonna have to work with spark or something. Something else has to give. This is way too rich now. So we know 63 is way too rich. And we know 47, maybe 48 is way too lean. So the first drill bit that's close, I have one that's a 48, the next one up is a 52, and then I have a 53 and a 55. So I'm gonna start with the 52 and drill these two jets out. Okay, the jets are drilled out to a 52. I just did it by hand. It's really, really soft brass, so you don't need to use this drill. Okay, we got the old 63s out, and we have the new modified jets put in. It's getting pretty easy to pull this stuff out and put it in, so it's making me feel a lot more confident with this carburetor. But now is the time to give it another test try. Trying to work through some of the timing issues here, and just trying to verify my harmonic balancer is actually correct. So this is my setup. I have a piston stop in there, and I put a mark. You can see it. The one that's higher is my right hand mark. The one that's lower is my left hand mark. So top dead center is going to be exactly between those two marks. So I'm going to get the stop figured out. I'm going to get the stop taken out, and then I'm going to rotate the engine a little bit more, look at it from the bottom, and get an exact zero on this thing. I think it is a degree or two off, but not much. The one on the right is the original, one on the left is the new one. You can see a little bit of wear, so I'm gonna change it out. It's only a $7 part. Just trying to really dial in this distributor. So after timing the truck, I set it to about 10 degrees of advanced timing. I think it was somewhere around 4 degrees, which is really far too retarded for the truck. And that's what leaned out the truck originally, was the poor timing. So now that I have advanced the timing, it's running a lot better, but I still think I can dial those jets in a little better. So I've been driving the truck around for a while, and I've been using those drilled out jets, and I'm still running pretty rich now that I advanced the timing. So I ended up soldering these jets closed. These were the original jets in the original Motocraft. They say 63s on them. I got them drilled out to about a 47, 47.5, somewhere in there. So we're actually putting this carb completely back to stock, how it came right from the factory. And we're gonna see if that helps lean this carb out a little bit, because we're running right in the 11s, I'd say, mid to high 11s. I wanna get back to the 13s. So I'm gonna put these two soldered and drilled out jets in and see how they work. That in there and screw it in. Carb is put back together. Sounds excellent. So we'll get the cruising comfortably at about 55 miles an hour, and get this gauge better. It's much better. We're pretty comfortable around 13, mid 13. It goes down to about 12, but we're staying pretty comfortable right there. So cruising speed, I think we hit the nail on the head. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this carburetor is prime for a 351M from the factory. So as long as you can get your timing correct, I think this is going to really work out good for you.